like, I'm moving to LA. I'm going to make it in blank. You want to be an actor? Did you want to
I want to be an actor and I want to be a singer.
Like, that was your goal coming here?
Yeah, those were the two main tops. And like the singing one though, I felt was going to come way later. Like I was like, I'm going to be an actor, and then the label's going to be like, oh, great, you can sing, like we'll make you all the music and you just sing it. It's going to be like this big thing. Like that was my plan. Like that was my understanding of like how I thought things were going to work. And because I was like, I'm not a songwriter. Like I don't produce music. Like I don't do any of that. And so I was like, just kind of going with like what my acting coach was saying, like, this is a plan. Like you need to do this, then you need to do this, then you're going to get headshots, then we're going to send them to like these agents. And like, it was just like, I was just kind of like aimlessly like following his instruction.
Did it work?
I mean, I eventually got a commercial agent after like probably 8 months of being here. And
for people that want to move to LA, I mean, the process is difficult. I still have friends right now that are actors and actresses are trying to get an agent and they can't get it.
Oh yeah. It's there's so much that goes into it. So like that, I got the commercial agent, which was great. It was awesome, whatever. I've got an agent. Like I felt like I was on top of the world, but it wasn't like I had the resume to match. Like that was so premature. Like I didn't even understand like how anything out here worked. And it was like, I was kind of like falling out of touch with my acting coach for a multitude of reasons. And it was like, I just kind of was like, I don't even know what's going on. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm over like background work. Like I was like, I need something that's a little bit more like structured and like, so whatever. So I just got, you get a part-time job and like you keep your days open and whatnot and yada, yada. And it was just like time had passed. I was still doing school. And I don't know if I lost the desire to do acting. I think I just got very curious with like other things. And that was kind of like, after like a year of being here, I was like, I kind of want to try like, photography. Cause that was like when that whole Instagram wave was starting, where like everyone was like, that was a photographer on Instagram was like blowing up, and it was like, oh, like maybe I'll try that. And like, I'll get into YouTube and like yada, yada. And so I kind of like diverted to this different path. And then it led, like one thing led to another. And it was like, all of a sudden I had this job at a creative agency where I spent the next 2 years of my life not focusing on like acting. And somehow in that time is when I actually started working on music. And so like looking back, it was like those first 2.5, 3 years of my life in LA were like just
trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it was like they were so random, and like all the things that I experienced and that I did and the people that I met, but everything kind of like perfectly led me down the path that I think I was meant to go, even if it just kind of seemed like this really confusing random thing, if that makes sense. I had the agent, wasn't going out. And so I finally was at this place though, where I was like, okay, it's time for like that to kind of end, like that old like phase and like that representation. I was like, I need to move on from that. And then I was like, okay, well, how do I get to where I want to go? Like, I was like, I need new representation. I need to get my skills like as a performer to a way better spot, because I hadn't touched them or practiced them and so long. Like I hadn't utilized my skills as an actor.
So what did you do? Where'd you go?
Well,
what was your first step?
Well, my first step was just getting some form of like new headshots. I think it was. Maybe that was the first step. I don't even remember actually.
Are headshots a very big thing? Do you need headshots? Like good headshots?
You need good headshots.
That makes a big difference?
Yeah. A headshot will make or break how someone views you as a performer, or at least how they view you and your look. Like if it doesn't feel like it's like, oh, I can tell who this person is and I can tell who this person could play, then like you've already like blown a portion of your shot. But like aside from the headshots, I had met with a good friend of mine's agent and was kind of like, like, oh, because like it's always better to go through someone to see like it just bridges that gap of like, oh, I don't know this person. Do I really want to pay them any attention? So I met with my friend's agent. The meeting was good. I thought I was getting like, like good vibe. They were like, I can see that you've kind of gone through all the shit LA has to throw at you. I can tell that you're like really ready. I think you just need to get to a place that like your skills match that. And I was like, great, you're telling me what I kind of like already was thinking myself and like what I kind of knew, but it's like to hear it from like someone in a position of I could actually do something for your career. It's like, okay, cool. I'm on the right path, or like I was in the right direction.
So if you had to give advice for a young 10, 12, 15, 19, 21 year old that's from the Midwest where you're from New York, like places where you would never think you would have a chance, what would you give advice for? Because you're one of those kids that took a chance on coming to LA. You are still figuring it out. You've done a bunch of stuff, which we're actually going to get into. But
yeah, I feel like I just literally rambled about the most random stuff for like literally 20 minutes. So sorry, everyone. What advice? I would say the first thing is like literally just completely erase, forget, drop every preconceived idea you have of like a specific plan. Like coming here, it's like whatever you think, like that is just not how it's gonna go. Like I have experienced it firsthand. I have witnessed my friends firsthand. Every single person thinks like, okay, this is the game plan. Like this is how it's gonna go.
The casual Hollywood goal. You're gonna come here, find an agent, get your top-notch film,
and
or get
sometimes it happens. Like
one hit wonder. Like
sometimes, like you can just by chance be in the right place at the right time, whatever. But like most often,
welcome to reality.
It's like you like just you're not in control, and like you have a lot of learning. And like I think about it a lot. I'm like, if I had the agents that I have now when I first moved here, that would have been great for like my ego. But I would not, without a doubt, like would not have the skills, or more importantly, the like confidence that I have now as a person and as a performer. Like I would have gone into these casting offices and these audition rooms and I would have probably made a fucking fool of myself. Versus now I go in them and I'm like, yeah, like
super
still a little
confident,
nervous, but like I have a different level of like this almost like self-respect. I'm like, okay, you know you're capable. I have an understanding that like if I don't get it, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad performer. There's like 15 other reasons that it could be. It could be someone fits the role better because of how they look. Someone fits the role better because maybe they had a better accent than I did. Like there's so many different things. Like, and as the fact that I'm even getting in the room for these, like that's already progress. As soon as you get into an office, like now they know who you are. Like breaking through that wall is like one of the most difficult things. And now you've made it over that hurdle. It's like cool. So it's like you just have to like kind of let life do its thing. And like, yeah, like to a certain extent, you still have to put in some effort.
The moment. Gotta live in the moment.
I mean, yes, absolutely. Like you still have to put in the work and like you are a part of it. But like I got to a point, like once I had my agents, it's like I'd kind of done everything I could do. And now I had to like trust that it's in their hands and that they're doing their job. And so it's like, forget what you think is going to happen. Literally don't give up. Like no matter how hard it is, like it's okay if you want to take some time away from it. But like as soon as you stop or as soon as you leave, it's like someone else just swooped in and got the thing that you could have gotten. And like I think about this a lot. I don't remember where I heard this or where I like saw it, but it was like every year that you know, say you've been out here 1 year, say you've been out here 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, every year that you choose to stay, it's like the people that leave, it's like now the pool of people that are on your level with like, you know, say 4 years of experience, like that pool has gotten smaller. So like every time it's like once you hit the 5th year, it's like, okay, so now some more people that got out here the same time as you, now they've, you know, trickled, they've given up, they've moved away, or they left that industry or that niche. So now it's like there's even less of you. And now it's like, because all the people below, like all the people that have been here for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, like, yeah, they might get a role that you're also up for, but it's like in an overall scheme of things, like I don't even know if any of this makes sense, you know, from the words, because I'm a visual person. So like I would probably have a hard time understanding what I'm saying. But like as long as you're like staying, it's like there's less people on your level.
It's a goal. You came out here, I assume you weren't doing Broadway, any of that stuff. You were like, I'm gonna try to get an agent. Did you have an agent? Did you what was your thought process? Music?
I don't know. I had my acting coach at the time who was kind of like, okay, this is kind of a plan that I see for you. Like, this is how it should kind of go. And it was like, I moved out here and it was this just whole culture shock. It was like, I'm in school part-time and I'm like doing background, like, you know, like extra work on like shows and stuff just to like make money on my days off. And then it was like, during all of that, it was like, oh, I'm trying to like work on my acting skills, but it was like so like loose. Like, it wasn't really like I was actually working on them that much. It was just like, I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I just kind of kept living and just trying to figure out who I am as a person and like what this city actually is, because it's so overwhelming for anyone that's not from here and who doesn't understand it. And so now, and then it was like, once I had done music, it was kind of like, okay, I did that. And that was at a good like stopping place or like pause. Like, okay, I did what I can with that for the time being. And I was like, I really felt this itch to kind of like go back to acting, but I felt like I was in such a better place. I was a lot more like,
You're maturing.
yeah, like I was confident in like my like personal skills and like my social skills and just like anything that you would need to kind of like kick those reservations and that like fear of keeping you from doing something. Like I was like that.
Were you going to a bunch of auditions for acting and you just weren't getting anything? And that's
well,
the
that was the thing.
confidence.
During all of that time, I had a commercial agent, and I think I literally went out maybe like 15 times in like the course of 2.5 years, which is not a lot. If you have like a sellable like look, and if you have the like resume to match it, like you've taken the classes that like casting directors are looking for, like as a commercial actor, you should be going out a lot more. Like obviously it's like, it's so dependent on the project and it's so dependent on like what look is in, but you should still be going out. And I was like, I literally went out like 15 times.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed these short clips, don't forget to go on Mike for Success on Spotify, Anchor, and Apple Music to check out the full podcast. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and put comments down below on things you want to hear in the future.